Okay, hello everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I am excited that you chose to spend this hour with me. Before I start this presentation, so today we're going to talk about how to make progress on your goals while still enjoying everything the holidays have to offer. So it can be kind of sticky this time of year. There's a lot of like extra things that show up in our lives that aren't around the rest of the year that make navigating it a little more difficult. So my goal here is to help you work through these last few months of the year. So the first thing I want to talk about is that this is, before we start, is this is a workshop. So I really, if there can be interaction, that would be great. Like less about me just giving you information, but I'd like feedback from you. I do understand that some people have some other issues where they're listening and they can't talk, and that's totally fine. I'd rather you be here and not talk than not be here at all. So just keep that in mind that you're welcome as much as you're able or you want to participate back. Like I'm open to your feedback as we go through the presentation. So the other thing is I want you to think about how many times you listen to a podcast or read a book or listened to a presentation or read a blog post and it had like some good information, but like the minute it was over, you just like didn't think about it again. So I want you to really think about as we go through this, as we're going through, think of 1 to 3 things that you can really take away and take action on, like starting now. And if it's one small thing that you can take action on after you hang up the phone from this call, then this whole thing was a success. Okay, so it's like start as I'm talking, I want you to think like, what can it's not like there's 17 new things you need to do. What's one thing you walk away with at the end? And then I'll kind of give you reminders as I talk through it, like think, does this resonate with you? Is this something that you could take away? So keep that in mind as we go through. And at the very end, I do have a paid coaching offer, but I just want to be upfront about that. But I also want to make it very clear that my goal of this presentation is to provide you real value that you can have something to take away. So even if you don't need that extra layer of coaching support at the end, that's okay. Like I'm happy you're here and I want you to get all this information that you can get and take it. So my goal is to give you valuable information that you can really use in your life starting right now. So let's get started. I'm going to just go through the presentation here. Mhm. No technical difficulties. So today, already starts our agenda. We're going to talk first about mindset because I don't know about you, but if you've ever started and stopped a health and fitness program, or you'd started doing something and then you stopped, or chances are, if you did, one of the main reasons it didn't work out for you is because you didn't address the mindset piece first. So let's get that mindset right so that we can make the right choices when it comes to nutrition and fitness. It's really important, like you can't really ignore that piece. So we're going to spend some time there before we go into nutrition and fitness. Then we're going to talk about anti-diet nutrition and what that means. And then we're going to talk about fitness and effective ways that you can stay consistent even during the busiest times of the year. So some things that I hear that come up that I felt that other people tell me and that things I just hear around are when it comes to the holidays, people say those indulgences are everywhere. Like, how can I resist all that? And then they say, and they're worried, what if I gain weight over the holidays? Or sometimes people are more accepting, like, hey, I think I'm probably going to gain weight over the holidays. And they just take that as a fact. Some people worried I might miss workouts because I have to travel for the holidays. Am I going to lose my progress? I'm too busy right now. Am I going to lose my progress? I want to enjoy time with the family, but I feel anxious about overeating. That's a big concern that comes up. The stress is so much higher this year, and that's true for so many of us. Things just kind of are at a higher level as far as stress goes from Halloween on. And then who even has time to work out? So these are like common concerns that I see. And I wonder if anybody else has anything else they would want to add or say about that, or do they have any concerns? You can either say it out loud because there's not that many people here, or you could chat it. But if not, if you're just listening, that's okay too. So then I'll just, but these are very common things, and we're going to get back to. Okay, so I love this quote. People don't decide their future, they decide their habits, and it's their habits that decide their future. So it's like the things that you're doing today determine who you become next year, in 2 years from now, in 5 years from now. So it's more about getting our habits in line with the type of person and the behaviors to become the person that we want to be. And I think that's a James Clear quote. If you ever read his book, Atomic Habits, it's a great book. And so, oops. So let me just tell you really quickly, because this isn't about me, but I want to just tell you who I am and why I'm here. So some of you know me already, and some of you may know my story. But around the year 2004, which was about the time I turned 30, I gained 35 pounds for the first time in my life. So I look back at it now and I say that was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it was the first time I ever had to like really consider making changes to my health in order to control my weight. So I had to start exercising. I had to start thinking about what I was eating. If I would have been able to maintain a slim figure and eat and drink and not exercise like I did, I would have kept doing that for the rest of my life, and I would be completely less healthy than I am today. So I'm grateful for that happened. It gave me that learning experience. Today, I'm a personal trainer, I'm a running coach, I'm a nutrition coach, I'm a master health coach, but it always wasn't this way. Starting in 2004, and this went on for about 10 years of my life, I struggled with my weight. I went on restrictive diets. I lost weight really quickly, and then I put it right back on. I leaned on unsustainable methods that I couldn't keep up. I went up and down in weight multiple times. I had a terrible relationship with food. I had an all or nothing mindset, and I was really focused on the scale and how low I could get that number to go. And so this picture here is from 2006. So this was like in 2004 was the first time I was like, okay, I need to lose some weight. In 2005, I got married and I was like slim for my wedding pictures. And then 2006, I'm at the San Diego Zoo in this picture a year later. And the weight has coming back. And then I had lost it and gained it back several times. So this went on for a long time. I learned a lot of hard lessons, the hardest way possible. But then it all turned around for me. So I developed a growth mindset, which is a mindset that says, hey, I might not know this today, or I might not be good at this today, but if I put my best effort towards it, I can do whatever it is that I put my mind to. I started becoming aware of my negative self-talk and how that was sabotaging me. I got serious about strength training, which was the game changer for me. This was like the thing that changed me from being someone who went up and down in weight 30 pounds over 10 years to someone who was able to maintain my weight for more than 10 years. So this is a game
Yeah, me
changer.
neither. Yeah, we didn't see the picture, Leah.
Oh, wait, what picture? That one? You can't see?
No,
Wait, what do you see right now?
you.
Wait, oh, you don't see my screen?
I see your
I see your
screen.
screen
Wait, what does my screen say? Like right
from
now, what's
2004 to 2024, gaining 35 pounds around the time I turned
yeah,
30.
okay. And there's not a picture underneath that?
There's a picture with you on the plank position with the weight.
Wait. Okay, but then if I right there, you don't see that picture?
You're at the zoo with an elephant behind
Yeah,
you.
yeah, that was the one.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not seeing those. Are you seeing them, Sue?
It may be a
I'm
setting.
not seeing them. I'm not seeing them.
Me neither.
So
What am I doing
Sue,
wrong here?
what do you see, Sue? Do you see where it says
I see your picture. I see Connie's name right beside it. I see Becky right beside me and
Okay.
Christella.
okay.
Okay.
I see it now.
Can you swipe over?
Oh,
Yeah, I swiped over.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, okay. Did we figure it out?
I did.
Okay. Okay, good. So we're back
Oh
on
yeah,
track?
yeah. We figured it out. Okay,
Oh,
good.
okay. Okay, good. So that was my zoo picture. So that was 2006, and then this is up and down. And then this next picture is demonstrating, where closer to where I am today. So I got certified in health and fitness so I can help people like you take a shorter path and not learn every hard lesson. I always say most people aren't as stubborn as me, and I had to learn everything the hardest way possible. But between my own experience and my experience with clients and my certifications, all of that comes together so that I'm here right now and that I can help people learn what I learned the hard way. So as I mentioned before, we need to start with mindset. It's the first piece of the puzzle. If you don't address your mindset, it's really hard to keep it all together for the long term, because we have to remember that decisions we make are about long term. Like we're talking about, how are we going to live our lives for the rest of our lives? Not what are we going to do tomorrow that's really hard that's going to get us there. It's sustainable behaviors. Okay, so this other quote that I really love is behavior change. Oops, I can't actually read it because something is in my way. Let me move this, sorry. Behavior change is identity change. You might start a habit because of motivation, but the only reason you'll stick with it with one is that it becomes part of your identity. Anyone can convince themselves to visit the gym or eat healthy once or twice, but if you don't shift the belief behind the behavior, then it's hard to stick with long-term changes. Improvements are only temporary until they become part of who you are. The best example of this identity change is if you would offer me a cigarette, I would say, no, thank you, I'm not a smoker, because I don't identify as being a person who smokes. I'm not interested in a cigarette. I don't want one. I don't smoke. But if you would ask someone who's trying to quit smoking and you would say, hey, do you want a cigarette? They might say, no, thanks, I'm trying to quit. So you can see the difference there. Like the person who says I'm a non-smoker is their identity. Someone who identifies as a smoker who's trying to quit might have a harder time making that change. So I thought that was a good example of how identity can drive your behavior. And so, oops, it kind of skipped ahead, but that's okay. So understanding identity, we all have ways that we describe ourselves or who we think we are. I say things like, I'm a personal trainer and I'm a health coach because that's what I do. And I say things like, I'm a wife and I am a dog mom and I am a runner and I am a writer, I'm a blogger. So these are the things that I identify, like these are who I am. So when someone asks me who I am, I say these things. And so if your identity are positive, so it goes a little deeper than that. If someone wants to tell me who I know we're not chatting, I think, because if someone wants to tell me who they are in the chat, then I'd like to see that too. But so it goes a little deeper than just what you do for a living and if you're married or not, or who your kids are, or like I'm a mom, that's your identity. But it goes deeper. We start telling ourselves these stories. I used to tell myself that I wasn't an athlete. I used to just say, I'm not that kind of person. And then here I am today teaching as a running coach other people how to be more athletic. So it's like I was telling myself the story that wasn't serving me and it wasn't really even true. I wasn't athletic because I didn't do athletic things. If I would have done athletic things, I would have become athletic earlier in my life. So I was telling myself this story. If you have positive identity statements like I'm the kind of person who prioritizes my health, or I'm the kind of person who enjoys exercise, that helps you make decisions based on those statements of who you believe you are. Now, I'm not saying to lie to yourself. So if you kind of have a mindset of I hate exercise, I wouldn't say that you should just start telling yourself you're the kind of person that loves it, but maybe change it to I'm the kind of person who hasn't found the exercise that I really like yet, but I'm willing to try more things. You see how that shifts that identity? But if you just keep on telling yourself you hate it, you're putting yourself in a mindset that you're never going to find anything that you're willing to try and do. So it's kind of a behavior shift. You see yourself as the person that you want to become. It's also important under those same mindset is to think about reframing negative thoughts. So if you say, if you give me a donut, there's no way I'm able to turn that down. You tell yourself these stories. I'm the kind of person who is always going to eat the sweets when it's given to me, or I'm the kind of person, or sometimes my clients say to me things like, I'm lazy. And I think, no, you're not. You're really busy. Like there's a big difference between being super busy and having not a lot of energy left to do exercise or something. It's like be careful of the way that you talk to yourself. And so when you talk to yourself, the first step is noticing it, because we do it all the time. Sometimes we're meaner to ourselves than we would ever be to someone else. So the first step is even noticing we're doing it and not just accepting it as fact as it comes to our brains. And the second thing is trying to reframe it in a way that's still true, but is more positive. I can't stick to a diet. I never can stick to a diet. I've tried a million diets. I always fail. That kind of talk is just setting your identity as a person who's not going to be successful. You change, learning to make healthy choices. I'm trying to make better choices. If I keep at this, I think I'm going to be able to start enjoying some different food. So it's just the way you talk to yourself, and it's really more important than you can even imagine. And then lastly, just challenging those limiting beliefs. I'm not a morning person. I hate healthy food. I don't like to exercise. None of those statements are going to help you make the change. So reflect on them and see how you can change it to be in a way that that makes sense for you.
Leah, you know, you made me chuckle when you talked about that reframing those negative thoughts, and I'm lazy.
Well, you might have been in the back of my head in that one. So this next slide is probably the most important slide on the whole presentation, and it will even come up again as we go through. Every decision you make, the most important thing we can do is get away from an all or nothing thinking. So it's not, if I can't do everything perfectly, I might as well not do anything at all. You think about an optimal decision for working out. You might think, oh, I need to work out for an hour a day, 6 days a week, but I don't have time for that and I can't do that. And whatever the reason is that are legitimate reasons, then you go, forget it. I just can't do it. I can't do anything. But there are a million decisions you can make in the middle between doing nothing and doing the optimal thing. The optimal thing isn't helpful if you're not going to do it. So it's like, what can you do? So there's a continuum of possibilities in making those small shifts towards what can I do that's a reasonable compromise here, is the way that you can make sustainable behavior change last for a really long time. So I can't work out for an hour. Can I work out for 5 minutes? And then you go, Leah, what's 5 minutes going to do? What's a waste of time? Not really, because you start building that 5-minute habit and it becomes part of your lifestyle. And that 5-minute habit over time can build. And you have all the time in the world. You have until you die to continue to build. So it's not like you have to force it all in 12 weeks. So because there's time to start wherever you feel is where you have time in your day to start. And the same thing goes for nutrition. We'll talk more about that, but I have a pumpkin pie or an apple pie at the nothing and an apple at the optimal decision. Well, when you go to Thanksgiving dinner, no one's serving apple as dessert, right? And so you might go, well, I can't have an apple, so I might as well eat the whole entire pie. Where can you go in the middle of that? Where's the what can I do just a little bit better decision? And it's really the basis of being able to do everything and to continue making good decisions for the rest of your healthy lifestyle. So quick laugh break. There's Calvin and Hobbes, which is my favorite. Hobbes saying, what you doing? And Calvin, I'm killing time while I wait for life to shower me with meaning and happiness. So that's what I'll end my mindset piece with, that we can find our own meaning and happiness by working on our mindset and moving forward the best that we can. So quickly, I'll go through this. This is actually the last thing on mindset. If you've ever done anything in your life that took more than 2 weeks, and has it ever in your whole life went perfectly like you started and everything went exactly as planned until the end, and then it was a straight line from beginning to end? Like, no, that doesn't happen. But for some reason in our health and fitness journey, we expect that it will. We flip the switch, and then all of a sudden it's just going to be, oh, from now on, I'm going to eat perfectly and exercise perfectly and never make a mistake ever again. So as long as we put it in our head that that's not real life, then we kind of expect and plan for challenges. And so when they show up, it doesn't throw us off track. We just say, oh, okay, this is part of it. Consistently good is better than occasionally perfect. So do the best you can with what you have right now, and it's always enough. Don't wait for life to be perfect. because perfection is a myth. It's a myth. It's like no one's perfect. I'm not perfect. No one is doing everything perfect. And the good news is you don't have to. Mistakes and setbacks are part of it. And then it's not how many times you get off track, but how quickly you just jump back on. It's like, do you fall off track on Friday and go, oh, I'll just start over on Monday? Like that's the kind of thinking, that's an all or nothing thinking that puts you off. It's like if you fall off track on Friday, you go, okay, I'm going to pick it back up next time, next meal, next workout, like whatever that may be. You just get back on track as soon as you can. And then always be the better you. It's not about what anyone else is doing. It's like compare yourself to who you were yesterday or last year, and what can you do what can you do to be a little bit better, not measuring your progress against anyone else. Let's talk about nutrition, anti-diet and flexible eating. So my big lesson that I learned in my life is that every time I went on a diet and lost weight, I always gained it all right back. Why? Because it was unsustainable. It was like anything that you can't do forever is almost not even worth messing around with, because if you can't sustain it, it's not going to help you in the long term. So we're better off being a little bit flexible and being able to maintain a healthy lifestyle. I say anti-diet because it's like anything you eat is a diet, right? Like you could eat a McDonald's diet, like an all McDonald's diet. That's a diet. But it's like getting away from restrictions. When you're thinking about what a diet is, getting away from like these really strict restrictions. So I like this quote. I have no idea who says it. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. And I think of the holiday season sort of like starting with the Halloween candy all the way through Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's like, here come the waves. It's coming. So we can just learn to surf it. So we can get through happy and healthy and feeling good and having energy and all of that. So, we just learn how to deal with it. Like life is happening. We just do the best that we can. So with my nutrition, I always talk about a protein first strategy. And what that means is when you sit down to eat, you look at your plate and you think, am I getting my protein? Do I have 20 or 30 grams of protein on my plate when I'm eating a meal? And protein can look like lean meats. And the reason I say lean meats is because if you're thinking about fat loss, while we do need fats in our diet, fats usually are higher in calories. So it's like you have some fats, but like if you keep your protein meats as lean meats, that usually is lower calories and lower fats for you. But like the good thing about holiday meals is they're usually structured around protein, right? Like turkey, ham. So, but anytime you eat, you think, where's my protein? Am I getting it from my lean meats? Am I getting it from my fish? Eggs are a good source of protein, and egg whites. So most of the protein in an egg is in the white. So sometimes in order to get that, 20 to 30 grams, like how do you get that much in eggs? It's a good idea to take a couple eggs and a couple egg whites. Then you get the benefit of a little bit of fat and calories from the yolk, but then you also get more protein that helps you expand that protein count. If you're someone who tolerates dairy well, cottage cheese and Greek yogurt are great protein sources. And then nuts and seeds, again, are a little higher in fat, but in the protein content's not quite as high, but it does give you some protein that adds up to your total day. How much protein do I need? So it depends, like most people. What we need is probably a little different. It depends on some things, which I'll talk about here in just a second. But generally, it's 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Now, if you're overweight and you have a bunch of weight to lose, you can look at it as 0.7 to 1 gram of protein of ideal body weight. That's okay too. But what we want to do is think about if we're getting enough protein based on our needs, and things like how much muscle you have, pregnancy and breastfeeding, exercise intensity and type of exercise can increase the protein requirements. And older adults and athletes need more protein than younger people and non-athletes. So those are just things to keep in mind. But I generally say if you are taller than 5 foot tall and you weigh more than 110 pounds, you probably need at least 100 grams of protein if you're an active person, and especially if you're someone who's trying to lose fat. And I'll explain more on that in a minute. So a lot of times when I work with people on nutrition, when we talk about nutrition, I'll say, like, they'll go, oh yeah, I get plenty of protein. Like I eat protein for every meal. But then when we actually add it up, it's usually pretty low. So it's just something to keep in mind that there might be something, there may be room for improvement. The only thing I will say is if you measure it and you realize you're getting 30 grams of protein a day or something really low, don't try to get 100 the next day. Like ease into it. Try to get 20, maybe extra grams the next day and do that for a whole week, and then maybe try to add 15 more and do that. Like just don't shock your body by tripling your protein amounts in one day. This is adapted from Precision Nutrition, is where I got my certifications for my health coach and for my nutrition coach. And I love it because it really gives you a nice way to put sort of guardrails around portion sizes without having to measure and weigh every little thing you eat. So if you think about it, anytime you go to a party, anytime you're out, you have your hands with you. So you're not like having to think about how do I weigh this? How do I measure this? This is a good just guide on what portion sizes could look like. And so like, for example, 1 to 2 palms of protein. So like what fits in the palm of your hand? 1 to 2 fists of veggies, 1 to 2 cups of carbohydrates, and 1 to 2 thumbs of healthy fat. So I like the thumb because I think like my husband will like cut an avocado and like give me half and take half. And I'm like, there's like 4 thumbs and half an avocado. And it just gives you kind of a visual of like what a portion should look like. And again, avocados are healthy and they're good for you, but they're higher in calories and fats. So if you're eating a serving times 4, then that's something to consider if fat loss is your goals. Are we staying within our calorie requirements for the day? Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
okay, good. So it's also, obviously it doesn't work for everything. If you're having a soup, or if you're having a casserole and things are all mixed together, it's a little, it's not as straightforward, but I think this is a very helpful guide to think about what a portion really looks like and how you can make sure you're staying within those guidelines that you set for yourself. So again, with nutrition, I'm going back to this continuum. How can I make this a tiny bit better is the magic question that you always can ask yourself while still enjoying everything the holidays have to offer. And what I mean by that is you go to a dinner or you go to a party and there's all these treats and you want to have something like, in my experience, if I deprive myself of something, I end up eating more of it. So when you say, how can I make this a tiny bit better? It might be, the way I make it tiny bit better is I set a control about how much I eat today. I'm going to have it, but I'm just going to make sure I stay within portions. Or I'm going to eat it very slowly and enjoy every bite rather than inhale it and not even realize what I'm doing. How can I make this a little bit better? Like maybe you can have, maybe there's a fruit option or something and you could have that instead. But it's like looking at whatever choice you're making and not saying I can't have this or I shouldn't have this or anything like that, but like, how can I make this a tiny bit better? And if every time you're looking at it, trying to make something a tiny bit better, over time, all those little decisions add up to just a really healthy nutrition strategy where you're not depriving yourself of anything, but you're still thinking and being mindful about what you're consuming and trying to eat the healthiest ways that you can. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions about that?
Mm-mm.
Okay. And so this is my favorite little guy with his meal prep, with his pizza and his donuts. So meal prep is another thing I look at as on a continuum. Sometimes people go, oh, I can't meal prep because they saw some Pinterest mom who spends 4 hours on Sundays like preparing 21 separate Tupperware meals that are frozen ahead and cooked and separated perfectly. And you go, that's too much work. But like meal prep could just be when you make dinner, make enough for the next, make leftovers so that you can eat it for lunch tomorrow. It could be cooking 3 or 4 pounds of chicken at once so that you have chicken to, eat during the week. So like meal prep is just thinking ahead of like, what can I prepare in advance that can help me? that can help me make better decisions as the week goes on. Meal prep can even mean like one of those healthy meal delivery systems where, you know, you pay someone to like send you food that's already prepared and healthy. That's meal prep. So we're going to finish off with exercise for fat loss. Effective exercise for fat loss. Now, I'm going to say strength training is the key to fat loss. And for me personally, I really feel like it was the thing that changed from my up and down weight until I was able to stabilize and get to a healthy weight and stay there over years and years and years. It was when I started strength training, because when you build muscle, it boosts your metabolism. And so when you boost your metabolism, you have a little more flexibility in the calories you can eat. And so when those calories you eat, they go into maintaining and building muscle rather than being stored as fat. So it's probably the most important part of an effective fat loss program is that you're getting your strength training in. Incorporating more movement in your day without needing hours at the gym. So just simple activities about thinking like, hey, let me just get on the stairs instead of the elevator, and let me park a little further away from the front of the door of the store. Just like little things you can do to increase your that you can increase your activity during the day. Oh wait, what is someone saying in the chat? I didn't see it, sorry. Oh. So sorry, I got distracted. So anything you can do to just stay a little bit more active, and we'll talk about this a little more as it goes on, and the importance of rest and recovery for progress. It's like some people they think they need to like go. And the truth is the rest part is part of the plan. So you have to allow your body to rest and recover between workouts. You simply don't get better if your body isn't repairing and resting. Sorry, I thought there was one more thing. Oh, and then we want to focus on functional, and the key here is sustainable movement that we can do all the time, that we're not burnt out. This isn't like go hard, every day. This is like, what can we do so we can keep moving forward all the time? So we're going to talk a little more in detail about strength training and what that means. As we age, our muscle mass naturally declines, leading to a slower metabolism. And the thing that people miss is that this starts at like pretty young, like at 30. So if you're not intentionally doing something to maintain and build that muscle, you're losing it. And so that muscle loss leads to a slower metabolism. And what happens all the time is women come and they turn 50 or 60 and they go, I don't know what's going on. I'm doing the same workouts I've been doing since I was young, and all of a sudden I'm gaining all this weight. I'm eating the same, I'm working out the same. What's happening? Well, what's probably happening is you didn't prioritize retaining and building muscle. And when you lost that muscle, those same calories that you've always been eating don't have anywhere to go, so they're being stored as fat. So of course there are things that go on with hormones and things as you age. But the good news is you have more control over some of this than people often in my age, I'm 50, say like, oh, like it's over now. Like these hormones are messing me up and there's nothing I can do about it. Well, there is a lot you can do. I mean, obviously you may need to address a hormone issue as well, but starting with addressing the muscle issue is the first place to start. Like I said, it helps preserve muscle mass and boost metabolism, making fat loss easier. When we talk about strength training, we need to be lifting heavy. And that word heavy means relative to your current strength. So for some people, heavy might be a 5-pound dumbbell, and that's okay. And for some people, heavy might be a 55-pound dumbbell. And for some people, it might be 100 pounds. It depends on where you are and what heavy is to you and your ability. So it's not about trying to lift super heavy that's too hard for you, that you're not capable of doing and you get hurt. It's about finding that right level of heavy that it's hard for you. And so what hard for you means that by the time you get to the end of the set and there's like 1 or 2 reps left, those 1 or 2 reps start to feel challenging. Like if you can finish and feel like you could have done 10 more, you're not lifting quite heavy enough. And then progressive overload means you're always looking for ways that you can make it a little bit harder. And that might mean weight, it might mean more reps, it might mean more sets, it might mean slowing down the reps, but there's different ways to keep challenging your muscles so that you keep growing. Like some people will join like strength training classes like on YouTube and do the same strength training class with the same weights over and over and over again for years. And if you're not progressively overloading, then you're not building and gaining muscle. So that's just something important to keep in mind. When you just start, you'll find that like you can build, I mean, you'll always be coming up in weight all the time. And it's like, it feels really good to being able to increase your weight. But then after some time, after a few years, it gets harder to increase your weight. But it's always, as long as you have the mindset of like, let me try, how can I make this a little harder? You'll always be able to progress at least a little bit. And then we want to target all the muscle groups, perform strength training exercises that target all muscle groups twice a week is ideal here. And then lastly, like what I said about lifting heavy is HBD, hard but doable. So it should be challenging, but still achievable enough to maintain consistency. And if it's so hard that like mentally, it's hard for you to like get in and do it because it's so mentally challenging, then back off a little bit. Hard but doable is important. Here are the basics. I'm going to give you a crash course in strength training. These are the 6 basic movement patterns. So we don't have to overcomplicate it. And what I'll say here is I chose little exercises for each one, but I just chose one exercises. Like you can plug different exercises into this one. Even the squat. Some people say to me like, I don't squat, but I say, okay, but you do have to sit on the toilet and get back up again. That is a squat in a way. So it's like maybe if you can't squat today, like this girl squatting with dumbbells, is there a version of a squat that you can do now where you can start building the strength so you can get there? So same with single leg. I just so happened to show a picture of a very advanced version, but this could be a single leg like this girl's doing. It could be a lunge. It could be a single leg deadlift. It could be a bridge on the floor with a single leg. So it's like building that independent leg strength is important for not only balance, but just muscle imbalances between the right and left side. This push exercise, she's pushing the dumbbells over her head. Also a bench press or a floor press, pushing dumbbell from your back off your chest is a push. A pull exercise, she's doing a pull, like maybe a pull up is a pull exercise. A hinge is like a deadlift. And the core exercise is anything that's below your chest and above your thighs is your core. So it's not just that 6-pack part, but it's like your whole front and back in the middle of your body. So if you're covering those 6 movement patterns, you're doing really well. And there's a few ways you may be looking at this going, well, I don't have time for all this. So here's some ideas how to fit it in. We have 6 movement patterns. Choose 2 at a time. Do it 6 days a week. So if you do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then repeat again Thursday, Friday, Saturday, take Sundays off. It would take you 10 or 15 minutes to get through those 2. And then that's 6 days a week. You're hitting all the muscles twice a week. Choose 3 exercises at a time. Do it 4 days a week. That might take you 30 minutes. Or maybe it's just better for you to do it all at once and get it over with and only have to do it twice a week. So do all the exercises, maybe takes you an hour, but do it only twice a week. So it's just like there's not, as long as you're hitting all of the basic movement patterns, it doesn't really matter how you fit it in as long as you do. And this looks like maybe a, 3 sets, 8 to 12 reps, something like that. So, and if you're looking at me going, I don't even have time for any of that, then let's talk about exercise snacks, because we all love snacks. So what if every 60 seconds for a minute or 75, oh, I said 60 to 75 minutes. 60 seconds every 60 to 75 minutes. So like every hour or so, every hour, an hour and a half or something like that, you get up and do something for 60 seconds. That's your exercise snack. Body weight squats. I mean, I do squats like with a barbell. And if you tell me to do body weight squats like for 60 seconds straight, my legs will be burning. Like helpful to do these snacks, especially if you don't have time to get in a traditional workout. Incline push-ups, like against your countertop or against your table. Like us ladies sometimes don't spend enough time on our upper body strength. Um, 60 seconds once an hour. High knees, get your heart rate up a little bit. And side lunges, I like side lunges because we always are moving forward and back. And so you do that side lunge, you're moving your hips in the lateral plane, and it kind of counteracts the effects of sitting, and avoids some muscle imbalances. So just some ideas, like if you can't do everything, like what can you do, and start thinking through that. And then another laugh break. You only have 1 minute left to live. Me, okay, doctor, what are you doing? Well, I'm making this minute feel like a lifetime. So if you've ever planked, you know that this is the real laugh break ever. Because a minute
Yes.
feels like a lifetime. So let's quickly talk about the benefits of heart rate training. So the recommended cardio exercise, like for healthy heart, like from the government, is like 75 minutes of vigorous activity or 150 minutes of moderate intensity, or some combination of those both things. What I love about heart rate training is a lot of people have a misconception that it means like let's make sure we're getting our heart rate as high as possible. But I like heart rate training because it tells you, like, let's make sure we're not training too hard when we're not supposed to be training too hard. And I'm a runner and I work with a lot of runners, and I know that like a lot of runners work on that 5-zone system, and that's pretty common. But I like this 3-zone system because it keeps it very simple. The gray zone is your recovery heart rate. This is when you're walking, this is when you're stretching, any kind of low intensity yoga, like maybe some body part training. Like if you're doing bicep curls, your heart rate's probably not getting real high. The good thing about gray zone is it's low intensity, and you don't need a lot of recovery. You can repeat it often, daily. And you get a lot of benefit from that. And like I said, the heart rate makes sure that when you think you're doing gray zone exercise, you're not out walking and it's in Texas and it's 100 degrees, and then all of a sudden your heart rate is, pushed up into that blue or orange zone because it's so hot. So the heart rate helps you make sure that you're staying in the zone that you think you're in. That blue zone is to improve your cardiovascular fitness. It's that moderate zone. Depending on what your fitness level is and your experience, most people can repeat it pretty frequently. You'll need more rest. Like you probably can't do it every day, but like maybe every other day, things like running and swimming and cycling, full body workouts, cardio classes at the gym, that kind of thing. And then orange zone is your real high intensity work. And that's the kind of work that you could, even if you wanted to, you couldn't maintain an orange heart zone like for a really long time because it's just too hard. So it's usually those HIIT classes at the gym where like you get your heart rate up and then you bring it back down in rest. Sprint intervals, either like on a bike or on a track, and like hill repeats, things where you get your heart rate really high and then bring it back down. High metabolic demand, you need recovery for those kind of workouts. Like people that go and do those kind of workouts 5 days a week or 6 days a week, it's probably not giving themselves enough recovery. You only really need to do those kind of really high demand ones once or twice a week, like max if you're pretty fit. So I like to, if you have the heart rate monitor, it helps make sure I'm training hard enough and I'm not training too hard. So it keeps you balanced. And again, some holiday exercise strategies are, we don't have time, we do shorter, more effective workouts. Maybe you just do a HIIT workout where you're using your heart rate to get a high heart rate, but then you're bringing it back down to rest, and we're just keeping those workouts short. Or we do the exercise snacks. Sneak in movement everywhere you can. It always counts. It always matters, and it always counts. Like the thought process of why bother is incorrect because it all adds up over time. And then focus on your movement habits. Remember what we said about habits. It's like the things that we can do that just become part of our lives that are easier, just make it easier. We can always build on those as time goes on. Last point I'm going to make here is that when we have a goal of losing weight, it's really important that we're focusing on fat loss and not just weight loss, because as I mentioned earlier, if we are losing muscle, that sets us up for weight regain. When I would lose all my weight and gain it back, I was primarily running and like not eating a lot. So I wasn't doing anything that was like that was forcing me to like retain that muscle. So then when I would lose that weight, I would lose a bunch of muscle and then have a lower metabolism and start the process over in a worse place than I was before I lost the weight. So making sure that you are focusing on fat loss and not weight loss. And you can do that. You can measure like your body composition scale that will like give you a trend of like what your body fat percentage is. It's just important that we're keeping that in mind. And you know, if you're lifting weights and eating enough protein, that you're doing what you can in order to maintain that muscle as you lose weight. And then the glue that holds it all together, managing stress is very important. It can impact fat loss, so it's important to have strategies to manage it, healthy strategies to manage it, because I know that, you know, it's easy to turn to unhealthy strategies, but things that it's really just like, what do you enjoy? How can you unwind? Like, is it reading? Is it dancing? Is it playing? Is it taking baths? Like, whatever it is that relaxes you and allows you to have your time, it's important to schedule that time so that you have it, even if it's just like 10 minutes a day, but like holding that space for yourself to have that downtime. And then sleep is crucial for fat loss. And I'm sure we've all heard the recommendations that, you know, adults need 7 hours of sleep a night. But that 7 hours of sleep is like for sedentary people. So that's like the minimum that like every human like needs. So if you're really active, you need more because you need to recover from your workouts. So, and again, I want you to think of it on a continuum though. So if you're getting 4 right now or 5 or 6, like don't think, oh, I'm screwed. Like forget it. Like there's no way I can get 7. There's no way I can get 8. You think, okay, how can I get 15 minutes more? What can I do to build this? And you start focusing on building it slowly and doing what you can. And then it, like we talked about before, recovery is so important. Give your body the time it needs to recharge. It's not just for your health, but it's for your growth and building your fitness, because you don't get better when you're working out. You get better when you're recovering after the workout. And then making sure you have your support systems. Do you have an accountability plan? Do you have a community? Do you have a coach? Do you have supportive friends and family? Like, who around you is supporting these decisions that you're making? It's like the more we surround ourselves with people that support us, the easier it is to keep moving forward. And so, you know, again, a lot of people say to me things like, I'm just going to wait until January and then I'll start my New Year's resolutions on January 1st. I'm just going to enjoy this holiday. But the thing is, that's all or nothing thinking. And so, you know, January 19th is the quitter's day because so many people quit by, 3 weeks into the new year. But those are the same people that said, oh, let me wait till January to start, because that all or nothing thinking, like, if I can't do everything because there's too many temptations, I'm too busy, I might as well just wait. And then they wait. And then when January 1st comes and 3 weeks in, of course, there's an obstacle 3 weeks in. Of course. But then they just get thrown off track because they have that all or nothing thinking. So then they quit 3 weeks in. So there's no reason to wait. Like, just start doing whatever small, tiny thing that you can do today to move forward. That's all you have to do. Adapt and prioritize. Figure out how to make it work now. And you develop the skills to make it work now. You develop the skills of having healthy habits, and then you'll be better prepared for whatever you want to do in January. And then I think that's an important point. Avoid waiting for less busy times. It's like if you do it when you're busy and you learn how to fit it in when you're busy, just imagine how much you can grow when things calm down. But if you wait for things to calm down before you start, then you're just going to get thrown off track when you're busy. So it makes more sense to make it work when you're busy. And then, get coaching support. A coach can help guide you through the holidays, kind of take the mental stress away from it and take away the thoughts of, like, I don't really know what to do, what comes next. You know what I mean? It takes the mental the mental part away so you don't have to think about it as much and have accountability. So I do have a 6-week challenge. I hope there was something in here that was able to help you. Just one little nugget of information you can take forward, and this was a success for me. But my holiday 6-week challenge starts on the 18th. It's 6 weeks with me as your coach. It is an overall plan. It includes nutrition. It includes a fitness plan and one-on-one coaching. So this isn't some generic, like, I'm going to send you a PDF of the challenge and you just do it. But this is really personalized. You'll meet with me before so I can make sure I know exactly what your goals are. And then we will have a personalized plan as we go through and have meetings, coaching sessions as we go through the whole process. In this challenge includes a heart rate monitor and a body composition scale. So you get those to track and an app to go through. So you get those pieces in order to help track as you go through the challenge, and then the app. Have more energy as you go through the holidays, get better results, feel less stress, get support that you might need. So the 6-week challenge is 347 for the 6 weeks. It starts November 18th and it's 347 if you're interested. There's a thing here you can scan, but I will send an email with a sign up link after if anyone is interested. So I want to know if you have any thoughts or questions or emotional outbursts or anything that I can help you with before we go, or anything at all. And I'm going to stop my screen share.
I think I want to work on adding more of those short burst exercises when I know I have my 2-hour training sessions, but I'd like to do them more often at my
Yes.
house.
Okay,
And
good.
I don't know how, I guess my question would be, I don't know how to, I mean, I know I don't stick with the same amount of weights, but I just was wondering if we could work on that. Something for you to think about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So one thing to do think about, if you're doing it every hour, like the best way to do it is you want it to be low intensity, because if you're doing it every day, you don't want it to be something that's going to be really hard for you to recover from. So if you grab your weights and you're trying to do like really heavy stuff every day, that could be counterintuitive. So the idea of exercise snacks is to do things that your body can recover from. So keeping that intensity low. So we can definitely talk more about that, like what makes sense for you, for sure. Does anyone else want to share like anything? Does anyone have any takeaways that they feel like they might want to share? I know a lot of people said they could only listen, so that's okay. And I did have a couple comments here. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, thank you everyone so much for your time and for coming. I really appreciate it. If there's anything that you need from me, you know I'm here for you, and I hope to see you all soon. Thank you,
Leah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Let me leave.
Okay, I'm trying to leave too. I don't. Oh, let me.